This is a manual folktale. Please subscribe, like, comment on the story and share to your friends and family. In the heart of Obele Street, there was a small food joint called Mama Put. It was owned by a strong woman named Mama Fa. People came from far and near to eat her food. The aroma of her jollof rice, agouti soup, and pepper soup filled the air every afternoon. Every day, the joint was full. People sat on wooden benches, holding plates and licking their fingers. Some said Mama Fa's food was the best in town. Others said it had something special inside. Mama Fa smiled at her customers, moving from table to table. She had 3 waiters, Ngozi, Tunda, and Idris. They served food, cleaned plates, and collected money. But none of them really knew how Mama Fa cooked her food. She never let anyone into her kitchen. Mama Put was doing well. Too well. One day, Tunda whispered to Idris, "Have you ever wondered why people always come back here like they are under a spell?" Idris laughed. "It's just good food, my brother." But Tunda wasn't sure. The days passed, and Mama Fa's food joint continued to grow in popularity. But something strange was happening. One by one, the customers who ate there seemed to act a little different. They came in happy, but left in a daze, as if they had forgotten something important. Some even returned for more food, without a second thought. Idris noticed it first. He had served a woman who came in looking upset, but after eating Mama Fa's food, she became unusually calm. She sat for hours, talking to no one, just staring at the wall. Idris thought it was odd, but didn't say anything. One afternoon, Tunda asked Idris, "Have you seen what I'm seeing? It's like the food has a strange power." Idris frowned. "Maybe they're just satisfied, Tunda." But deep down, Idris felt uneasy. The same customers kept returning for food, and some seemed almost addicted to it. Days turned into weeks, and the strange behavior of Mama Fa's customers continued. Idris could not shake off the feeling that something was wrong. He started paying closer attention to Mama Fa's kitchen. He noticed that Mama Fa always worked alone when preparing the meals. The doors were tightly closed, and no one was allowed to enter. One day, Idris couldn't resist any longer. After serving a group of customers, he quietly slipped into the kitchen while Mama Fa was away. The kitchen was small, filled with the smell of simmering stew and spices. Idris scanned the room, looking for anything unusual. On the counter, he saw a small jar with a dark liquid inside. It looked out of place. Idris reached for it, but just as his fingers touched the jar, he heard a noise behind him. "Mama Fa!" Idris gasped, quickly hiding the jar. Mama Fa stood in the doorway, her eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here, Idris?" I was just cleaning up," Idris stammered, trying to hide his nervousness. Mama Fa's gaze softened. She smiled warmly. "You shouldn't be in here without permission. The kitchen is where the magic happens." Idris felt a chill down his spine. The magic? What was she talking about? Idris could not stop thinking about the strange jar he had found in Mama Fa's kitchen. That night, he lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. Something about the dark liquid felt wrong, but he couldn't put his finger on it. The next day, while Mama Fa was out buying fresh vegetables, Idris decided to take another look. This time, he wasn't going to leave without answers. He sneaked into the kitchen again. His heart raced as he approached the counter. The jar was still there, its dark liquid gleaming in the dim light. Idris carefully picked it up and smelled it. The scent was strange, earthy, sharp, and almost sickly sweet. He unscrewed the lid, and the room suddenly felt heavier. There was a piece of paper stuck to the bottom of the jar. Idris carefully removed it and read the words written in tiny, hurried handwriting. "This is the spirit of the harvest. Use sparingly for protection and success. Add a drop to the food for control over the mind. Idris felt his stomach twist. It wasn't just a special ingredient, it was something far more dangerous. Something that could control people. As he put the paper back and was about to leave, he heard Mama Efe's voice calling from outside the kitchen door. "Idris, what are you doing in there?" she shouted, her voice filled with authority. Idris quickly stuffed the paper back into the jar and placed it on the counter. His heart pounded in his chest as Mama Efe's footsteps grew louder. He turned to face the door just as Mama Efe walked in, her face cold and serious. "What are you doing in my kitchen, Idris?" she asked, her eyes narrowing. Idris stood frozen, unable to speak at first. Finally, he found his voice, though it shook. I was just curious about what makes your food so special. It's not just the spices, is it?" Mama Efe's expression didn't change, but Idris saw something flicker in her eyes. "You're not supposed to be here," she said, her voice low. "Curiosity is dangerous in this kitchen." Idris swallowed hard. "That jar, what's in it? What's really in your food?" Mama Efe's smile twisted into something dark. She walked toward the counter, picking up the jar as if it were nothing. "You want to know my secret?" she asked, her voice soft but laced with something menacing. "I'll tell you." She set the jar down in front of him, her fingers tracing the lid. "This is a special ingredient, Juju, some would call it. It's a gift, but also a curse. It makes people crave the food, makes them come back over and over, because it controls them. It gives me power." Idris took a step back, his heart racing. "You're using witchcraft on your customers." Mama Efe didn't flinch. "I use what I need to survive. People are weak, Idris. They come for food, but they leave with more than they bargained for." Idris knew he couldn't let this continue. He had to stop it, no matter the cost. Idris stood frozen, torn between his fear and his growing sense of responsibility. Mama Efe's words rang in his ears, but his mind was clouded with doubt. She was right about one thing. People were weak, and her food had brought them back time and time again. But using Juju to control them was wrong. It was evil. "What will you do, Idris?" Mama Efe's voice was like ice. "Will you expose me? Will you leave?" Idris hesitated. He had to do something, but what? He had seen Mama Efe build her business with her strange powers, and it seemed unstoppable. Would anyone believe him if he told them? Or would they think he was crazy? "I can't let you keep doing this," Idris said, his voice shaking. "This isn't right." Mama Efe smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You think you can stop me? You think anyone here can live without my food? You'll see. People will come, and they will keep coming, no matter what you do." Her words sent a chill down Idris's spine. But deep inside, Idris knew he couldn't back down now. He had to expose the truth, even if it meant losing everything. The next morning, Idris didn't show up for work at Mama Put. He couldn't bring himself to face Mama Efe after their confrontation. Instead, he spent the day thinking of a plan. He knew he couldn't fight her alone. He needed help, and he knew just who to turn to. Tunda and Ngozi had been working at Mama Put for a long time, and Idris had always felt a sense of trust with them. If anyone could help him uncover the truth, it was them. That evening, Idris called Tunda and Ngozi to a secret meeting at a small cafe near the market. He told them everything he had discovered about Mama Efe's Juju, how she was controlling the customers with dark magic. They listened quietly, their faces serious as Idris spoke. "I've seen it myself," Idris said. "There's something in that food that isn't just spice. It's Juju. I need your help to stop her." Tunda looked skeptical. "Are you sure about this, Idris? This sounds like something from a story, not real life." Ngozi nodded. "Mama Efe is strong, Idris. If she's really using Juju, we'll need more than just words to stop her." Idris sighed. I know. That's why I need you both. We can't let her continue doing this to people. After a long silence, Tunda spoke up. We'll help you, Idris. But we need a way to destroy the Juju. Do you have any ideas? Idris shook his head. I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure it out together. Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi spent the next few days planning. They had to act quickly before Mama Efe could spread her influence any further. They knew that confronting her directly might be dangerous, so they decided to find a way to destroy the Juju without her knowing. The first step was to get rid of the jar with the dark liquid. Mama Efe kept it locked away in the back of the kitchen, and Idris had to find a way to get it without arousing suspicion. They agreed that Idris would slip into the kitchen again, this time with Tunda and Ngozi watching from outside. The night they planned to act, the food joint was busier than usual. Mama Efe had invited some important customers, so she was focused on serving them. This gave Idris the perfect opportunity. He slipped into the kitchen, moving quietly and quickly. He reached the counter where the jar sat, but his heart was pounding. He glanced at the door. Mama Efe could walk in at any moment. He grabbed the jar and hid it under his apron, then made his way to the back door. Once outside, Tunda and Ngozi were waiting. They took the jar from him and ran to a nearby river. The plan was to throw the jar into the river, hoping that the dark power would be washed away. When they reached the river, Tunda hesitated. What if this doesn't work? He asked. We have to try, Idris said firmly. If we don't stop it now, more people will suffer. Ngozi nodded, and they all watched as Tunda tossed the jar into the water. It sank quickly, disappearing from sight. For a moment, they stood in silence. The air was thick with uncertainty. Had they done enough? The days that followed felt tense. Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi kept a close eye on Mama Efe's food joint, hoping they had done the right thing by throwing the jar into the river. At first, there was no sign that anything had changed. Mama Efe's customers still came in droves, eagerly waiting for their meals. But slowly, something shifted. It was subtle at first, like a quiet change in the air. Idris noticed that the customers were not as eager as they once were. They didn't linger as long after eating, and some of them even left without finishing their food. Ngozi, who was working as a waiter that day, came running to Idris with wide eyes. Idris, you won't believe it. People aren't coming back like they used to. The food, there's something wrong with it. Idris felt a small sense of relief. You mean the Juju is weakening? It must be, Ngozi said, her voice trembling. But Mama Efe doesn't seem to know yet. She's acting like everything is normal. The three of them decided to continue watching closely. Mama Efe's mood seemed to change, too. She had always been confident and strong, but now, she appeared more anxious. She was pacing in the kitchen, muttering to herself, as if something was off. One evening, as Mama Efe prepared a new batch of food, she suddenly stopped. Her face went pale as she looked around, her eyes darting over the kitchen. Idris watched through a small window in the kitchen door. He could hear Mama Efe whispering to herself, "What happened to my power? Why isn't the food working?" Idris's heart skipped a beat. It was working. The Juju was no longer having the same effect. Mama Efe grew more frantic as the days went by. She paced around her kitchen, her face twisted in confusion and frustration. The once satisfied customers now left in a hurry, without the usual dazed look. The energy in Mama Put was shifting, and Mama Efe could feel it. Her power, which had once been so strong, was fading. Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi watched from the outside, knowing that the Juju was losing its grip. But they were not out of danger yet. Mama Efe was not the type to accept defeat easily. Idris knew that if she realized what had happened, she would try to regain control at any cost. One evening, as the sun set, Mama Efe closed the food joint earlier than usual. Idris, who had been keeping an eye on the place, saw her leave with a small bag in hand. She was walking toward the edge of the village, a place known for its dark rituals. Idris quickly told Tunda and Ngozi, and the three of them decided to follow her, hoping to stop her before she did anything drastic. They moved quietly through the village, keeping a safe distance. Mama Efe led them to a secluded spot by the riverbank, where an old shrine stood. It was covered in strange symbols, and the air around it felt thick, like it was holding something powerful. Idris's heart pounded as Mama Efe knelt before the shrine, her hands raised in prayer. She began to chant softly, her voice filled with desperation. No, no, I cannot lose my power. I will do whatever it takes. Idris knew that Mama Efe was about to perform another ritual, one that could be even more dangerous than before. If she succeeded, the Juju would be stronger than ever, and no one would be able to stop her. As Mama Efe continued her chant, Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi hid behind a cluster of trees near the shrine. The atmosphere was heavy, and the air smelled like burned herbs and smoke. Idris whispered, "We need to stop her before it's too late." Suddenly, the wind began to blow hard, and the trees around them swayed. The shrine candles flickered, and Mama Efe's chant grew louder. Then, without warning, a deep voice echoed from the shrine. "You have broken the balance. The river has swallowed your charm. Return to the path of light, or face the spirit's wrath." Mama Efe froze. Her mouth dropped open, and the bag she was holding fell to the ground. She looked around in shock, as though she had not expected a reply from the spirits. The wind stopped. The candles went out. The silence that followed was heavy and full of fear. Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi were shocked. They had never heard such a voice before. It was as if something holy had spoken, a spirit watching over the land. Mama Efe fell to her knees, trembling. "No, please, I only wanted success. I only wanted people to love my food," she cried. Idris stepped out from the trees. Tunda and Ngozi followed. Mama Efe looked up and saw them, her face full of shame and fear. "You heard it, Mama," Idris said gently. "This is your last warning. Let the Juju go. It's over now." Mama Efe bowed her head. She had no more strength to fight. The next morning, Mama Efe did not open her food joint. The wooden sign that read, "Mama Put," hung quietly, swaying in the morning breeze. Word spread quickly across Obele Street. Mama Efe had closed her shop. Curious customers came by, confused and disappointed. Some knocked on the door. Others waited, hoping the food they loved so much would return. But the doors stayed shut. Inside the shop, Mama Efe sat with Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi. Her eyes were red, her voice quiet. "I started with nothing," she said. "No money, no helper, only a small pot and a dream. I went to a native doctor who gave me that jar. He said it would make people love my food. I didn't know it would turn into this." Idris sat across from her, listening carefully. "You could have made it with your cooking alone, Mama. People came because the food was good. You didn't need Juju." Mama Efe sighed. "I got greedy. When I saw people coming in more and more, I wanted more power. I forgot what was right." Ngozi stepped forward. "You still have a chance, Mama. Stop using the charm. Cook with your heart, not with spirits." Tunda nodded. "We'll help you start again. But no more secrets. People deserve the truth." Mama Efe looked at the three of them. For the first time in weeks, she gave a weak smile. "Thank you," she whispered. "Maybe it's time I do the right thing." With Mama Efe's promise to leave Juju behind, a new chapter began. The food joint remained closed for one more week. During the time, Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi helped clean the place from top to bottom. They scrubbed every corner of the kitchen and threw away all suspicious items, including the empty charm jars and burnt candles Mama Fa had once used. Mama Fa, now quieter and humbler, started cooking small meals again. She used only natural spices and fresh ingredients. No more charms. No more shortcuts. I want to learn how to cook with real love, she told Idris one morning. The kind of love people can taste in their mouths and feel in their hearts. Idris smiled. That's the real secret, Mama. Not juju. Just honesty and effort. When Mama Fa reopened Mama Put, the shop looked different. Simpler. Warmer. There were no strange smells. No thick smoke. Just the scent of fresh stew and clean rice. At first, only a few customers came. They ate quietly, unsure of the change. But to their surprise, the food still tasted good, maybe even better than before. Soon, more people returned. Word spread. Mama Fa had changed. The food was still delicious, but now it felt lighter, purer, and the strange hold that once made people addicted was gone. Mama Fa stood at the front of the shop, watching people smile as they ate. She looked at Idris, her eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of peace. I didn't need magic, she said softly. I only needed people who believed in me. As days passed, more customers returned to Mama Put, and this time, they came not because they were drawn by magic, but because they truly enjoyed the meals. The laughter that once felt forced now rang naturally through the small shop. The air was lighter, and the mood was peaceful. Old customers who had once stopped coming began to return. One of them, an old man named Baba Kunli, smiled as he tasted his plate of jollof rice. This is the Mama Put I remember, he said. The food tastes like home again. Mama Fa bowed her head in thanks, her heart full. She had feared losing everything, but now she was gaining something greater, trust. She began to speak openly with her customers about her mistake. I lost my way, she told them. But I've come back, and I want to do things right. To her surprise, people respected her honesty. Some even clapped for her courage. They forgave her, because they saw that she had truly changed. Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi became more than just workers, they were now like a small family. They managed the shop together, planned the meals, and served with joy. Ngozi added a new touch by decorating the space with bright flowers. Tunda started a small music corner where soft drums and local tunes played in the background. Idris helped manage the money and ensured everything was clean and fair. The change was complete, and Mama Put was no longer a place of fear or control. It was a place of healing, of laughter, and of good, honest food. One quiet evening, as the sun began to set and Mama Put was preparing to close, a man in a red cap and long white robe walked into the shop. His presence was strong. His eyes searched the room slowly, and everyone grew silent. It was the native doctor. Mama Fa stood still, her hands trembling. Idris stepped forward, blocking her slightly. The native doctor spoke in a calm but deep voice. I gave you power, and now you've thrown it away. I don't want it anymore, Mama Fa replied, her voice steady. It brought me nothing but fear and shame. I want peace. I want to cook with my own hands, not with darkness. The native doctor narrowed his eyes. You broke the bond. There is a price for that. Idris stepped forward. She owes you nothing. She didn't pay with blood, and she didn't harm anyone directly. She ended it before it was too late. The doctor looked at Idris carefully. You are brave, young man. But Juju does not forget. It watches. Mama Fa took a deep breath. Then let it watch. I will never return to that life again. If there is a price to pay, I will pay it by doing good, by feeding people with honesty. There was a long silence. Then, slowly, the native doctor turned toward the door. You are lucky, he said as he walked out. Not many people escape. He left without looking back. Tunda locked the door after him, and Ngozi ran to hug Mama Efe. Idris let out a long breath. The danger had passed. For now. The next day, news of the native doctor's visit spread across Obele Street. Some people whispered in fear, others in awe. But when they saw Mama put open again, cheerful and full of life, their fear slowly faded. Mama Efe stood at the center of her shop and decided it was time to speak to the community. She called for a small gathering in front of the food joint. When everyone arrived, she stood with Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi by her side. I used something dark to build this place, she began. At first, it felt like power. But it was only a trap. It made people love the food for the wrong reason. I hurt many without knowing. The crowd was silent. I've changed, she said. I've thrown it all away. What you eat now is real. No juju, no charm, just food made from my heart. One woman in the crowd nodded. We see it, Mama Efe. The food tastes different now. Better. And you're smiling again, a man added. You were always frowning before. Laughter filled the air. Mama Efe smiled. Let this be a lesson. Shortcuts may bring fast success, but they also bring pain. Real success takes time, honesty, and love. From that day on, many in the town began to rethink their choices. Some who had visited native doctors for quick money or love started turning away from those paths. They saw how close Mama Efe had come to losing everything. And they saw how truth had saved her. With her past behind her, Mama Efe decided it was time for a fresh start. One quiet morning, she called Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi together. I've been thinking, she said. The name Mama put still reminds people of who I was before. I want a name that speaks of who I am now. They all agreed. The name should reflect the new life she had chosen, clean, honest, and full of hope. After some thought, Ngozi said, what about Mama Blessing? It shows that the food is now made with love, not tricks. Tunda smiled. Yes, and it shows that what you give to people is not just food, it's peace. Idris nodded. It's a good name. A name that brings joy. Mama Efe smiled widely. Mama Blessing it is. They painted the new name above the shop entrance. The next time customers came, they stopped and stared at the fresh sign. Mama Blessing, someone said. This name feels good. It feels safe. Mama Efe greeted everyone with warmth and laughter. She shared her story with new customers and reminded old ones of the journey that brought her here. Under the new name, the shop continued to grow, not through fear or magic, but through kindness and trust. And every time someone asked about the name change, Mama Efe would simply say, I gave up darkness and chose blessing instead. One hot afternoon, as business carried on smoothly at Mama Blessing, a young woman entered the shop. She wore a simple dress and carried a small bag. Her eyes searched the room carefully before they settled on Mama Efe. Mama Efe, the woman said softly. Mama Efe looked up and paused. Her eyes widened with surprise. Amaka. The young woman nodded with a smile. Yes, it's me. It's been many years. Amaka was one of the girls who used to live in the street near Mama Efe's old home, long before the food business began. She had left the village when things were hard, looking for work in another town. I heard about the food joint, Amaka said. People in my new town are talking about Mama Blessing. I didn't know it was you until someone told me your story. Mama Efe invited her to sit. She served her a plate of food herself. As Amaka ate, she smiled. It tastes different from what people described. It tastes real. Mama Efe nodded. Because now, it is. Amaka leaned closer. I'm proud of you. I know how far you've come. I came to say thank you. Before I left this town, you once gave me a meal when I had nothing. I never forgot. The memory brought tears to Mama Efe's eyes. She had almost forgotten that simple act. But it reminded her that kindness lasts longer than power. She hugged Amaka tightly. "Thank you for coming back." The two women talked for hours, sharing stories, laughter, and a reminder that even small acts of goodness can return like blessings in the future. With her shop now known as Mama Blessing, and the community fully behind her, Mama Fa began to think of how she could give back to those who had helped her rise again. One evening, after the last customer left, she sat with Idris, Tunda, and Ngozi. "I want to use part of what we earn to help others," she said. "We can feed the hungry, support the poor, and teach young people how to cook and work." Idris smiled. "That's a beautiful idea, Mama." Tunda added, "We can even start a small cooking school. Teach the way you cook now. With love, not juju." Ngozi clapped her hands. "And we can visit the orphanage down the road every weekend to serve food." Mama Fa's eyes lit up. "Yes. We will call it the Blessing Table." Soon, every Saturday, the team cooked extra food and served it for free to the poor, the elderly, and children who had little. People came with gratitude and smiles, not fear. Mama Fa also began to teach young girls and boys how to cook and run a business with honesty. She shared her story with them, not to bring shame to her past, but to show that mistakes can be changed. "Let your hands be clean," she would say. "Let your heart be honest. Then your food will feed more than the stomach, it will feed the soul." And so, Mama Blessing became more than just a food joint. It became a place of learning, healing, and hope. Years passed, and Mama Blessing continued to grow. The small food joint became a symbol of change, truth, and strength across the village and beyond. People came not just for the food, but to feel the peace the place carried. Mama Fa, now older, no longer cooked every day. But she would sit in her corner seat, smiling as she watched Idris, Ngozi, and Tunda run the place with the same heart and honesty she had taught them. One morning, a group of students from another town visited. They were doing a school project about strong women and successful local businesses. An eager student asked, "Mama, what is the secret of your success?" Mama Fa smiled, her eyes full of wisdom. "I once made a mistake. I chose darkness to succeed. But I learned that only truth can give peace. The real secret is love, hard work, and clean hands." The students clapped and took pictures with her. Her story inspired many of them to choose the right path in their own lives. Later that evening, as the sun painted the sky in orange and gold, Mama Fa sat outside the shop. Children ran past, laughing. The air was filled with the sweet smell of jollof rice. Idris joined her with a cup of warm tea. "Mama, you've built something powerful." Mama Fa nodded. "Yes, my child. Not with juju, but with truth. That is the real legacy." And as the stars began to shine, Mama Blessing stood like a light on Obele Street, proof that no matter how dark a story begins, it can still end in light. Share your thoughts about this tale in the comments, like this video and share it to your friends and groups. Subscribe to get updates on the next video. Thank you.